Manchester United are back. Under Ruben Amorim, this team has gone from fragile and predictable to fearless and calculated. And against Arsenal, they showed the entire Premier League exactly why.
6 months ago, in my first 3 games in charge, with 2 victories and 1 draw, I said to you, the storm is coming. Today, after this disaster season, I want to tell you the good days are coming.
This wasn't luck. It wasn't a fluke. It was a tactical masterclass. United controlled 61% of the ball, fired 22 shots with 7 on target, and racked up an expected goals of 1.59 per Opta. And all of this came against last season's best defence, a backline that only conceded 34 goals across an entire league campaign. Arsenal thought they could rely on their wall, but David Raya, their goalkeeper and player of the match, had to make 7 crucial saves just to keep United from tearing the Emirates apart.
Rickles across the face of goal. It may have just been an excellent save by David Raya.
That alone says everything. Amorim's system works, and it's forcing the very best to suffer. The transformation didn't happen overnight. Amorim has sharpened United's structure piece by piece, trimming away players who didn't belong, instilling a mentality of resilience.
We are just allowing to these players to have time to think and to decide. If you reach a point that they have to join the team, they will join the team because they are our players. Omar and Jason and the club have a number for these players. If they don't reach that players, they will be Manchester United players. No doubts about that. I understand that the clubs maybe are waiting for the last minute, but they can have a surprises, and I'm ready.
And integrating the perfect signings, Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo exploded down the wings, stretching Arsenal wide and bringing back the electric pace Old Trafford has missed for years.
Aggressive than last year. We sprint more. We were more brave. We let 1 against 1 all the game. We press high. And then with the ball, we had quality. Even when the stadium makes some sounds, we continue to play the way we play. We lost fewer balls in the build-up compared to last year. We struggle a lot. And then the small things that we talk about in the beginning of this season, that players like Cunha, like Bryan, in one moment can elevate the stadium. So I think the most important thing, we were not boring.
But this wasn't just about attacking fireworks. The real shock came in defence. Matthijs de Ligt and his backline completely shut down Victor Gyökeres, the striker who scored 54 goals in 52 games last season. Against United, he finished with 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 shots, 0 dribbles, 4 out of 9 passes completed, and no key passes. For a player Arsenal paid £54.8 million for, that's humiliation. What this proves is simple. Amorim has built a team that can attack with fire and defend with steel. A team that can bend possession to its will, carve through even the strongest defences, and suffocate the deadliest forwards.
But Manchester United is a story. It's always a story. And where they were last year to where we saw them, we just said, this doesn't look like anything. And right now, I know it's early, but it's really starting to look as a Ruben Amorim team. It's not the finished product, but we're starting to see what we've wanted to see since he's come in. It looks fluid. They look confident. The players look happy. They look motivated. All of the things we said they weren't last year.
United didn't just challenge Arsenal, they exposed them. And in doing so, they've revealed the formula to beating anyone in the Premier League. Stay with us, because in this video, we'll break down exactly why Amorim's Manchester United will be a nightmare for every rival now has to face. Last season, Ruben Amorim walked into a broken Manchester United, a team with no clear identity, no soul, and no real plan on the pitch.
The storm will come.
The record was brutal, just 3 wins from the opening 9 matches. By the time Amorim took charge, the excuses were over, but the nightmare was far from done.
When you have a change of coach, especially in this type of club, is because they are not winning, and they play specifically in the system they were bought for and choose perfectly for that system. So in that moment, with the idea, with 2 years working in pre-seasons, they were losing. So I'm going to change for that system that I don't believe, to change things to win games. It doesn't make sense. So I can understand your ideas. For me, it's more simple than that. What I think is that, of course, you can. If I think the players with the right profile for each position, it will be different. But I have to to start now this moment, because this team was already in problems. So I have to teach what I know, and that is my focus, and I believe on that.
His first months in charge were anything but a fairy tale. Players looked lost in his system, confused by the structure, and at times the team seemed even worse.
The idea, if I'm going to change all the time, is going to be even worse, but I understand that.
The numbers tell the story. In 26 league matches under Amorim, United managed only 7 wins, 7 draws, and 12 defeats, just 24 points in 25 games. One of the worst starts ever recorded by a Big Six manager.
I don't think there's any doubt, Augie, that Ruben Amorim has actually taken this team that was a pretty average team, and he's taken them to new lows.
The result? A 14th place finish in the Premier League, one of the darkest marks in the club's history. No trophies, no top 4 dreams, nothing to celebrate. Even the Europa League final turned into heartbreak, losing to Tottenham, a side that finished 17th in the league without even scoring a goal.
You know, I can only apologise, and I think they're probably bored of hearing the same things, because there's probably been a lot of apologising this season, because most of it has not been good enough. But also I'd just like to say thank you to them for their support, because, you know, through this, probably the worst season ever.
And yet through all of this, Amorim never wavered. Behind the defeats and the growing pressure, he held on to a single vision: to bring back respect, to rebuild Manchester United into a club that stands tall again in the world of football. This new season, the mission is clear. No more excuses, only redemption.
I would say I'm still probably surprised at how long it's taken to see some sort of difference and change in performance and results, really, given that he's been here a little while now. I expected more with his resume that he came with. Forget what I think for a minute. I think he's saying we're going to have short-term pain by doing it this way, but in the long term we'll gain more and we'll be better for it.
This season feels different. For the first time since he arrived, Ruben Amorim has had the time to breathe, to put his fingerprints all over Manchester United. No more patchwork solutions. No more excuses about injuries or transitions. Amorim has been decisive. Players who didn't fit his style, Marcus Rashford, Alejandro Garnacho, Jadon Sancho, have been told their time is up. In their place, United's attack has been rebuilt with sharp new weapons. Bryan Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha and Benjamin Sesko.
The mobility in the front areas now is something, as a defender, I'm looking at and I'm thinking differently about Manchester United's front line. I'll be sitting there going, I'm going to have a physical presence up there. I'm going to have a physical test from all 3 positions, and I've got people that can run them.
The contrast couldn't be clearer. Last season, United scored just 44 league goals, one of the worst returns in the entire Premier League. For perspective, even Tottenham, a team that flirted with relegation, managed 64. That stat alone explains why Amorim went all in on attacking reinforcements. Each of the new signings brings something unique. Mbeumo with his direct running and work rate, Cunha with his creativity and power, Sesko with his target man presence and finishing. Together, they're designed to fix the one thing United has lacked for years: a lethal, functional goal-scoring machine.
Why have they signed Mbeumo and Cunha? And there's probably more going to have to come in. So it is about new players, but it's also about attitude, which I think a lot of their players were very poor in that department, and hence some of them are on what we call the naughty step, whether we agree with that or not. But it's going to be an interesting watch where Man United are, how competitive they're going to be, and how much brighter they are, how much more competitive they are within 90 minutes of a Premier League game.
But Amorim's revolution goes beyond names. His philosophy is unshakable. The 3-4-2-1 system is non-negotiable.
They have to understand the game. It's not understanding a system. They don't have to grow up playing in 3-4-3. They have to understand the game. You can play 4-3-3 because we will change the players. If you play with Dalot in one side, or you play with Diallo in the same position, it's the same position, different guy, different structure.
I'm interested in that. Will you play defensive fullbacks in wing-back positions, or will you play attacking wingers, or will you move between the two?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but you have to use both.
Yeah.
Because you have the different games.
3 centre-backs at the base, wing-backs pushing high to stretch defences, 2 pivots gluing midfield together, and dual number 10s creating chaos behind a lone striker. It's structured, it's disciplined, and most importantly, it's nothing like the chaotic, counter-attack heavy United fans had grown used to. Here's the concern: Ruben Amorim doesn't change. For 4 years, through ups and downs, his system has remained the same. 3 at the back, 2 wing-backs, 2 midfielders, and a front 3. No matter the opponent, no matter the league. That's been the blueprint since 2020. And for a young coach, that's unusual. Managers like Mikel Arteta, Xabi Alonso, or Arne Slot are praised for their adaptability, for adjusting shapes and styles to match the moment. Amorim, he doubles down on his principles.
You are here, you have to perform right away. What I'm trying to explain to people is that I know what I'm doing, but at the same time I don't want to ask a lot of time to do that, because I'm always the guy that says high standards, and then this happen. It's really hard to cope with that, because clearly in the results we have underperforming. So I want to explain that idea to the fans, but I don't want to defend myself in every press conference.
That doesn't mean there's zero flexibility. With the ball, Amorim encourages positional rotations to help the team progress. His wing-backs often tuck in or overlap to create overloads, and the midfield pivots adjust depending on the flow of the match. Without the ball, the back 3 shifts based on how the rival attacks. Even at Sporting, when Victor Gyökeres arrived, Amorim made the game more vertical, quicker in transitions, but the structure remained untouched. So the big question hangs over Old Trafford. Can a system this rigid really survive in the Premier League? A league where tactical battles are fierce and every opponent comes with a new puzzle to solve. Amorim believes in identity above all else. He argues that once his players know their roles inside out, they'll have the freedom to improvise within that structure. Still, fans can't help but wonder if sticking to the same script, no matter the opponent, could be a strength or a trap. The first real glimpse of what Amorim's Manchester United could become came in the season opener against Arsenal. Yes, they lost, but anyone watching saw a different United, one sharper, braver, and far more structured than the chaos of last year. From the start, Arsenal pressed in their usual 4-2-2-2. Martinelli and Saka cut inside to close United's wide centre-backs, funneling play toward Casemiro in the middle. The trap was clear: suffocate the Brazilian under pressure, force turnovers, and break quickly. But Amorim had a response. Matthijs de Ligt stepped into midfield, acting as an extra pivot so Bruno Fernandes could roam higher. Suddenly, United had a 5-on-4 advantage in the middle. Fernandes kept dropping between the lines, always offering an outlet. And when Arsenal's press lost its angle, United broke out wide with ease. That forced Ricardo Calafiori to step higher than usual, leaving dangerous spaces for Mason Mount and Matheus Cunha to exploit. Arteta adjusted by moving Victor Gyökeres into Martinelli's pressing role, while Declan Rice slid into Gyökeres' original spot. Martinelli then played more like a wide midfielder, shadowing Bryan Mbeumo. It worked in parts, but it left Arsenal's midfield exposed. Each time Fernandes combined with Cunha or Mbeumo, United pushed through the centre with speed. Here's the twist: Amorim used his defenders differently this season. Last year, the back 3 always sat deep. Now, Euro and Shaw pushed forward almost like fullbacks or inverted midfielders. That created overloads, 3-on-2 or 4-on-3, and gave United real attacking bite. Without the ball, Amorim shifted back into a compact 5-2-3. One of the forwards dropped into midfield, tightening the block and steering Arsenal wide. The numbers tell the story. Only 27% of Arsenal's attacks came through the middle. That's Amorim's plan working. Force them to the flanks, press with aggressive wing-backs, and counter quickly. Calafiori caused issues in the half space, making Casemiro and Ugarte choose between stepping up or holding their shape. But even with those cracks, United looked far more competitive. Amorim even threw on Amad Diallo for extra defensive cover against Calafiori and Benjamin Sesko as a reference point up front. In the end, Arsenal edged the scoreline, but the tactical duel was pure drama. Arteta adjusted to cover weaknesses in his press. Amorim innovated with higher, braver defenders. The result? A loss on paper, but a United reborn in identity and intent.
Seen quite a lot of progress and feel quite positive just in terms of the actual display.
Yeah, is that feeling that is... we play better. We were the better team, but in the end we lose the game. But I'm really proud of the work that they put on the field, and that is important to move forward.
Ruben, so you dropped Andre Onana from the whole squad. Does that mean you're after a new goalkeeper? And also, sorry.
No, just sorry.
So you're not after a new goalkeeper?
No. I didn't drop Onana from the squad. I didn't drop the other one.
Look at the numbers and the story is clear. United didn't just compete with Arsenal, they dominated. 22 shots, 7 of them on target, compared to Arsenal's 9 with only 3 testing the goalkeeper. 61% possession. Arsenal left stuck at 38.8%. This wasn't luck, this wasn't a fluke. This was a Manchester United that looked like they had control, identity and a cutting edge.
Well, I thought they were the better team in the game in terms of performance. But we know that performance sometimes obviously isn't enough, and that Arsenal have got real resilience and they can sort of hang in there and sort of grind out 1-0 victories, and that was really good from Arsenal. But I just thought there were some positives. I thought Cunha and Mbeumo, I think probably Mbeumo more in the first half, Cunha more in the second half, but I think they showed that they can sort of handle sort of a big game at all.
The big difference. Ruben Amorim finally had attacking weapons who could hurt teams through the middle. Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo didn't just play, they lit up the pitch. Sharp bursts, direct runs, fearless dribbles. It's the kind of attacking energy Old Trafford has been starved of for years.
They showed a different side to Arsenal that we haven't seen, which is that they were a lot more open in those central areas. They found a lot of joy down the right-hand side with Mbeumo, especially in the first half. And I think all in all, Man United's attack will go away thinking to themselves, on another day I could have left scoring 1 or 2 today. That's how I would have felt. Certainly if I was Mbeumo, I'd be going to bed thinking, wow, I should have left with 1 today. So I think they're going to take confidence from their performance, Man United, but in the end, the result's all that matters. And
Cunha finished top in dribbles, 6, and duels, 20. He was relentless, dragging Arsenal defenders into bad positions, spinning, fighting, always pushing forward. His passing map showed intent. 37.5% of his distribution went right, constantly looking to connect with Mbeumo and stretch Arsenal's block. And Mbeumo, he was everywhere. Even under tight marking, he found ways to break free. A third of his passes went forward, and he completed nearly 80% of them. He wasn't just recycling possession, he was slicing through Arsenal's lines. He fired 5 shots, 2 on target, 4 from inside the box. Each one forced Arsenal into scramble mode.
And I think for the best, hopefully. But yeah, I found the new signing very interesting with Mbeumo, especially, where I found him very, very good. Cunha, a little bit less, but interesting. And but some others, they've done well. Yes, the front line is good, but I found De Ligt, for me, exceptional today. I never seen De Ligt at that level last season. And he was good, he tried to help, and we saw the last action even offensively. So something is changing. Of course, he's far from being perfect. I think Amorim made kind of a stupid statement saying that they can beat everybody. No, it's the first day. I think Arsenal, they weren't ready, they were at their best. But we can see, as the guy said, we can see the improvement. We can see that they're going to be more difficult to beat, but of course, it's not the Manchester United I used to play against. For sure.
This wasn't the timid United of last season. Even when chances went begging, even when the final pass wasn't perfect, the belief was back. Amorim's system is still a work in progress, but with Cunha and Mbeumo at the core, United looked like a team ready to cause chaos again. Together, they gave United something crucial: versatility, Cunha dropping deeper, distributing, Mbeumo drifting into pockets, pulling the trigger. They weren't flawless. Sometimes the decisions were off, sometimes the touch was heavy, but they were fearless. And fearlessness is something Old Trafford hasn't felt in a long, long time. If there was a silver lining from United's opening clash, it was Mason Mount. For once, it wasn't just about numbers or end product, it was about influence.
It's interesting, I actually thought that when Mount was on the pitch, they actually looked a little bit better up front in terms of connecting it. Now obviously Seshko had to come on and he was only on for 20 minutes and to try and sort of get that goal. But I actually thought when Mount and particularly Cunha on that side of the pitch, they looked like they did combine well with each other. I actually thought United found it more difficult the more subs they...
Sometimes the footballers most adored by supporters aren't the same ones managers truly appreciate. Mount is different. Managers love him because he listens, because he understands the system, because he makes others better. Against Arsenal, we finally saw glimpses of the Mount that shone at Chelsea. Playing in the inside left role of Amorim's 3-4-2-1, Mount was given the licence to find pockets between the lines. Cunha stayed high as the main striker, but Mount constantly floated into dangerous spots. His intelligence showed from the first minutes. When Bayindir launched a long pass, Mount positioned himself perfectly between Ben White and Saliba. Gabriel threw his arms up in frustration. Who was supposed to mark him? That's Mount's gift. He doesn't run blindly, he sneaks into the exact spaces defenders hate to defend. What United needed from a right-footed inside left was simple: vision, movement, and through balls. Mount delivered. 5 minutes in, he slid a pass for Mbeumo. The winger took it a little too wide and ended up shooting straight at Raya, but the intent was there. Later, Mount whipped a crossfield ball to Mbeumo, who combined with Dalot, though the pass was a split second late and Dalot strayed offside. Still, these patterns showed exactly what Amorim's system thrives on: inside forwards linking with wing-backs. One moment summed up Mount's role perfectly. Dragging White inward, he created space on the far side, then swept a first-time pass with his left to Patrick Dorgu. Half the pitch opened up. That was Dorg's best game since joining in January, and it was no coincidence. Mount was his launch pad, bouncing passes, switching roles, rotating positions. At times, Dorg popped up inside while Mount dropped deeper, orchestrating from behind. Cohesion, something United have lacked for years, suddenly looked possible.
But he signed him for big money. It was a bit of a head scratcher. He had a lot of injury problems. He needs a run of games, and I thought he looked sharp in that first half. And it's crystal clear that Ruben Amorim wants to find sort of a spot for him. So I thought that was a positive. I thought there was plenty going forward, positives for United, because last year there was very little.
Of course, not everything clicked. Mbeumo misread a couple of his passes. Ahmad's run wasn't matched by Mount's timing once or twice. But the idea was clear. United weren't just relying on individuals anymore, they were trying to build a system. And Mount, with his tactical intelligence and willingness to sacrifice for the team, might just be the glue that holds it together. 3 new attackers arrived this summer. Great talents, no doubt. But as United fans know, signing stars doesn't guarantee success. Cohesion does. And if Amorim's plan is going to work, Mason Mount could be the hidden key. If there is one area where Amorim has started to quietly build a foundation, it's the backline. For the first time in years, Manchester United's defence doesn't look like a patchwork of stopgaps, but like a structure with real potential. The trio of Lenny Yoro, Matthijs de Ligt, and Luke Shaw is not just solid, it's functional. These aren't defenders who sit back and clear their lines. They're ball-playing, forward-thinking centre-backs who can step into midfield, break lines with their passing, and keep United on the front foot. And then there's Harry Maguire. He may not fit the mould of Amorim's sleek build-up football, but he's still a tower in the air, a physical presence who brings muscle to a defence that has too often been bullied. Add Lisandro Martinez, still recovering from his ligament injury, and suddenly there's real depth. With Martinez's aggression and leadership, this unit could become one of the most versatile in the Premier League. Of course, it's not perfect. A new centre-back wouldn't hurt. Someone young enough to grow into the role, but reliable enough to step in when injuries inevitably hit. More importantly, the goalkeeper situation is still a glaring question mark. Bayindir has not inspired confidence, and Onana continues to be inconsistent, struggling under pressure when opponents load the box. If United want to take the next step, fixing the number 1 shirt is non-negotiable. Still, Amorim has already begun shaping a defence with identity. No longer reactive, no longer a patchwork. It's a structure with height, strength and ball progression. The attack may grab the headlines, but if United truly want to rise again, it will be this defensive spine, rebuilt with clarity and purpose, that makes them competitive again. Manchester United may not be ready to lift the Premier League trophy this season, but they are finally ready to compete with anyone. Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, the giants that once bullied United now face a Red Devil side with structure, clarity and new life. Amorim's project is still in its infancy, but the signs are there: an identity on the pitch, a stronger defence and an attack that actually looks dangerous again. This year might be about growing pains. There will be tough defeats, moments where the system still looks raw, and situations where United fall short of the top 3. But unlike the chaos of the last decade, this is a project with roots. The foundations are being laid brick by brick. A young spine with Yoro, Sesko and Mainu, experienced pillars like Bruno and Casemiro, and fresh weapons in Mbeumo and Cunha. Top 4 is the realistic goal, and it's not out of reach. With Liverpool and City battling at the top, and Arsenal expected to push again, the 4th Champions League spot is where United can stake their claim. That return to Europe's elite is more than just a prize, it's a statement that the club is back in the conversation, that Old Trafford is no longer just a stadium of memories, but one of ambition again. So no, United probably won't be champions in May, but under Amorim, they finally look like a team with a future. And for the fans who have endured a decade of false dawns, that glimpse of tomorrow might be just as important as silverware today.